All right, brings us to Syracuse Orange, the Super Conference champions, 12 and 4. They ended up winning the ACC. Uh, they also ran through the playoffs for the first time in 3 years. This is the third straight Orange Bowl they've been to, and they finally got through and won it over Tennessee. So with that, they're picking 31st. And with the success, they had a really good offseason. They signed Suarez from Kentucky, a young, budding superstar wide receiver, and they got a really nice offensive tackle from Kentucky. And so they were able to add two of the better players. They also added the best kick returner in college football in Andrew Patchen. So it was a really good offseason for Syracuse. With that said, I think that gave them the confidence to be able to take a couple chances in this draft. And what you did, you saw them at 31st pick take a player in Philip Bowling, the FCS transfer, that has as much upside as anybody in this draft. Similar player kind of to Curley last year that UCLA took, really early. Bowling is a very high vol with a 94. And he offers you enough room to grow in all the major skill categories that he could be elite if he booms. And so you're looking at an 87 speed, 75 tackle, 100 punish, a little bit low on the run defense, 47, but with that high vol, that could easily go up to the point where he's good. Man coverage 87, so that'll max out if he booms. And bump and run coverage 51. I'm not quite sure how much that will boom, just because I'm not as familiar with bump and run as far as how much it goes up on a booming player. I've actually seen it go down sometimes on a booming player, so that could be his one downfall. If that's the case, he could always slide in at safety if that's a position that they need. But I think that Bowling could be the steal of this first round if he booms at number 31, because he's got the talent of a top 10 type of player with his physical skills. It's just a matter of if he hits in training camp. Similar in the second round, a player that I was very surprised to see fall. I know that Notre Dame really looked hard at this player in the first round at number 32. He fell all the way down in the second round to 31st pick. That's Andrew Licciardi, the wide receiver. Here's a player with all kinds of skill. Very similar to Bowling, that he has 100 volatility. So you got 100 volatility one guy and a 94 the other. So it's going to be interesting for Syracuse. I know they're hoping to hit on both, but I bet you they'd be happy with just hitting one out of the two, because then you basically got a star in either of them. He's got 83 speed, 79 acceleration. He maxes out on his pass catching and 96 on his bump and run avoidance. So you're looking at all these blues probably going to go up full if he booms. And so you're looking at a number one, number two type receiver added at the end of the second round. Really big risk, with his off the field stuff, but I think it was worth it. I think that you take enough chances, you're going to hit on one. And I know that he's done this in the past in other leagues where Sloth has, gambled two really high vol guys in the first two rounds, and he hit on one. Usually he hits on one of them, but not the other. And that player usually pays off to be a big contributor for years to come. And so I think with his talent on this team, I think he was willing to take that risk, getting two really high vols and hoping to hit on one at least. He gave himself a C plus, and I think that's just because he's pretty negative on himself usually, and I think looking at these two vols, he's going to be the most nervous guy probably going into training camp as anybody here. I gave him an A minus just because I like to look at the upside of both these players. These were two of the top upside players I looked at. I just think a lot of people are scared to pull the trigger on both of them, and so that's why they dropped a little in each round. But this could pay off huge for Syracuse and set them up for the next handful of years. Two really good players, if they're able to nab in the first and second round here, could be huge for this team going forward. So I gave them an A minus.